y'all? Welcome to another episode of The Wrap Up with your boy, Jalen Jamal. Now, if there was ever a sport I could play to where all I had to do was be absolutely fantastic but not win any championships and still get some dough, I would play. Oh, wait. It is. We would call that baseball, or more specifically, the MLB. As the beginning of baseball approaches, this past offseason, everybody was on Machado and Harper watch because they were the two biggest free agents in the MLB. Teams this past offseason have been giving out millions like rich people give out candy during Halloween. Now, in late February, the Padres were the first ones to start dealing out some cash, landing Manny Machado, aka Mr. Turn a double into a single, to a 10-year, $300 million contract. $300 million. Now, for anybody who has been watching Manny Machado this offseason, we all knew he wasn't going to go to any team that was actually going to compete. It was just going to go to the team that was giving him the most money, and it seemed like San Diego did the job. You may see him more at gas lamp quarter than at batting practice. Just watch. Now, at the time, that was the second largest contract that anybody in the MLB has ever given out, behind Juan Carlos Stanton's $325 million extension with the Marlins back in 2014-2015. Now, the Padres have been the laughing stock of the West and the MLB for about 5, 6, 7 years, you know what I mean? So landon Machado hopefully can push them to at least getting to 500 and or, if it's promising, making the wild card. Now, we all thought, oh yeah, you know, 300 million, that may be the cap. You know, that nobody will go bigger than that. Well, you wanna know how long that lasted? Not even 14 days. The Phillies looked at the Machado deal and said, that's chump change. And then they looked at Bryce Harper and was all like, don't worry, we gonna make sure you get your money on our terms. The Phillies ended up signing free agent Bryce Harper to a 13-year, $330 million contract with no opt-outs. No opt-outs? Yes, I said it. No opt-outs. Now, you can probably guess no opt-outs means he can't get out of his contract for another 13 years. That means I'll be about 36. Now, you got to give it to the Phillies. They took zero chances in missing out on signing one of the biggest young stars in the MLB, still on the rise. Now, the Phillies haven't made the playoffs for the last 8 years, which is horrible. By signing Harper and keeping him captive for the next 13 years, the least they should make it to is the World Series. Or else that may be one of the biggest busted contracts I've ever seen and history's ever seen. Now, you guys all thought, oh yeah, MLB don't got that much money. Think again. The Los Angeles Angels showed their loyalty to their best player that they have on their team, as well as the best player in baseball, by giving Mike Trout a fatty contract. Big Fish Trout signed a 12-year, $430 million contract. Are you kidding me? Do you know how many carne asada tacos I can buy with that much money? Without the Taco Tuesday special? Now, with that much money, he can afford to do stuff like this. Hey, bro, can you hand me my towel, please? Yeah, thanks. Now, this contract was the biggest contract in any sport in history, ever. Even when about 2 years ago, the NBA started offering supermaxes and was just giving out money just for the fun of it, you feel me? But at least people had championships, you know? Now, Mike Trout may be the most deserving of this contract because he's arguably the best player in baseball. The man gets way better over time, sort of like wine, you know? Oh, I cracked myself up. Now, here's a few facts through his first 8 seasons. If you don't believe me, that he's probably one of the best players in baseball history. Mike Trout has more hits through his first 8 seasons than A-Rod, Barry Bonds, and Adrian Beltre did in their first 8 seasons. Is 10th all-time in on-base percentage, ahead of Chipper Jones, Joe DiMaggio, and Manny Ramirez. Has more home runs through his first 8 seasons than Barry Bonds, Ken Griffey Jr., and Sammy P.E.D. Sosa. And not to mention, he has more runs scored all time than Willie Mays, A-Rod, and Ken Griffey Jr. The dude is a freak of nature. Now, I think I speak for everybody but the Phillies that Mike Trout is probably the most deserving out of all three of those to get the biggest contract because he's the face of baseball stats-wise and the face of the Angels stats-wise and player-wise also. It's on the Angels now to get some pieces around Trout that won't make him have to carry the team like he's done for the last 2 years and at least get them to make the playoffs or beat the Dodgers in the Freeway Series. But you want to know something that all three of them have in common? They ain't got no rings. None. All that money and ain't none of them got at least one ring. So for all you kids, parents, and adults who haven't found their calling yet, I think I might have found something for you. Get your butts in them batting cages and make sure you hit a couple dingers and you just may get $100 million. So, moving along to the NCAA tournament. Let me give you a quick little recap of what happened in the first and second rounds of the tournament so far. Auburn versus New Mexico State and Belmont versus Maryland. They definitely gave us a good show. In the last 15 or 20 seconds, New Mexico State had a chance to tie the game up with an open layup to the cup. But what did they do like every other WAC school does, i.e. Boise State in football? Get it whacked because they're in their Western Athletic Conference? Crack myself up. Anyways, they went for the home run money ball, and luckily they ended up getting fouled. Long story short, New Mexico missed 2 out of the 3 free throws, had a chance to get a good look from the three-point line at the end of the game, and airballed. It was quite unfortunate for the state of New Mexico and my bracket that they lost in such a terrible fashion. Now Belmont and Maryland on the other hand, let me tell you, Belmont had a chance to tie the game up with about 10 seconds left, but I'm gonna reenact for you the last 7 seconds and why I was so hurt and befuddled that they lost the game.
8 seconds left. Wow, what a decision. Murphy, cut, knocked away, and a turnover. Got a foul. Marcel is fouled with 2.5.
Belmont, we were rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. That game busted my bracket and it busted my big little heart. Now in the upper epsilon of the seeding in the first round, all the big teams seemed to struggle with their opponents in the first half of the game, and then they found themselves in the second half and just totally demolished everybody. Now, Ja Morant, even though he couldn't make it to the Sweet 16, that boy balled out in 2 rounds, let me tell you. In the first round, he had a triple-double against Marquette, first time since Draymond Green did it back when he was back at Michigan State. And even though in the second round, the Racers got blown out by almost a cool 30, Ja Morant still put up 28 points. Now, even though his college and tournament career is over, he's made his case on why he should be in the top 2 in this year's NBA draft. Now, in the second round, there was some doozies of the game, starting with Tennessee and Iowa going down to OT, and Tennessee pulling out the win, getting 31 wins for the first time in school history. My Carolina Tar Heels taking care of the Washington little baby Huskies, blowing them out by a cool 21. And Duke and UCF coming down to the wire, with UCF missing by this much. Now that the field is set for the Sweet 16 and there's no real clear favorite going into these games, it's going to be a fun tournament to watch, and best believe, woo, it may be just as exciting or more exciting as these first 2 rounds. Well, that's all I got for y'all. I want to hear from you guys. Let me know, out of those 3 big ballers, which one's going to be the first one to get a ring. And if you don't watch baseball, it's alright. Tell me who you got going to the Final Four. As always, make sure you smash that like and subscribe button. And until next time, I'll catch y'all.